The landscape of modern dating is often described as a battlefield of mixed signals and digital ambiguity. But perhaps the most complex territory is the heart of a man who has fallen deeply but is paralyzed by the prospect of rejection. While popular culture often depicts men as the primary pursuers, bold, direct, and unyielding, the reality is far more nuanced. For many, the more significant the attraction, the higher the perceived stakes, leading to a state of emotional vertigo where the fear of losing a potential future with you outweighs the courage required to initiate it. This internal conflict creates a fascinating paradox. A man who wants you more than anything, yet spends a significant amount of time and energy ensuring you don't realize the depth of his feelings. This isn't necessarily a game of manipulation. Rather, it is a psychological defense mechanism designed to protect his ego and the existing connection you already share. To understand why a man would be terrified of you noticing his attraction, one must look at the vulnerability inherent in modern romance. To admit feelings is to hand over a certain amount of power, and for a man who views you as high value or out of his league, that power shift feels like a terminal risk. He is constantly performing a delicate balancing act, trying to stay close enough to remain relevant in your life, while maintaining enough distance to avoid the vulnerability of an outright no. This leads to a series of subtle, often subconscious behaviors that act as breadcrumbs of his affection. These signs are often masked as friendship, professional courtesy, or simple politeness, but when viewed collectively, they reveal a consistent pattern of deep-seated romantic interest. The signs he is terrified for you to notice are rarely grand, cinematic gestures. Instead, they are found in the microscopic details of his behavior. The way his voice drops an octave when he addresses you, the accidental frequency with which he appears in your orbit, or the uncanny ability he has to remember a passing comment you made 3 months ago. These actions are his way of testing the waters without jumping in. He is looking for green light, a specific, unambiguous signal from you that his feelings are reciprocated, before he dares to cross the line from friend to suitor. In this content, we explore 15 distinct psychological markers that indicate a man is deeply invested in you but is struggling with the fear of being seen. By decoding these signals, you gain a clearer picture of the silent emotional narrative playing out beneath the surface of your interactions. Whether he is over-explaining a joke to avoid sounding foolish or creating low-pressure accidental meetings, his behavior is a testament to the weight your presence holds in his life. Understanding these signs doesn't just help you identify his feelings. It allows you to see the man behind the mask of playing it cool, revealing a heart that is waiting for the right moment of safety to finally speak its truth. 1. He remembers the smallest details about your life. When a man is deeply interested but hesitant to be overt, his subconscious becomes a high-fidelity recorder for everything you say. This level of retention goes far beyond basic politeness. It is a manifestation of intense focus. While most people might remember your birthday or your job title, he remembers the name of your childhood pet, the specific way you like your coffee when you're stressed, or a passing comment you made weeks ago about a book you wanted to read. This cognitive investment happens because, in his mind, you are the priority. He isn't just hearing you, he is studying you. This behavior serves as a silent bridge between friendship and romance. By bringing up these micro-details, he is testing the waters to see if you notice the effort he's putting in. It creates an intimate inner world that only the two of you share. If he mentions a specific detail you forgot you even shared, it's a sign that his mental energy is being funneled into understanding your preferences, fears, and history. He is building a mental map of your soul because he wants to navigate it, even if he's currently too afraid to ask for the key. Furthermore, this attention to detail is a strategy for creating meaningful connection without the risk of a direct, "I like you." By gifting you something small related to a niche interest you mentioned once, or checking in on an event you were nervous about, he provides value and support. It is a safe way to show devotion. If he can prove he's the person who knows you best, he hopes you will eventually realize he's the person who loves you most. It is the ultimate quiet tribute to your importance in his life. 2. He initiates physical proximity without making a move. Magnetic pull is one of the most reliable indicators of attraction. Yet for a man terrified of rejection, it remains strictly non-contact. You will find that wherever you are in a room, he eventually gravitates toward your orbit. If you're sitting at a large table, he finds the seat next to you or directly across from you. If you're standing in a group, he maneuvers himself so that his shoulder is just inches from yours. He wants to be within your intimate zone, the space usually reserved for close friends and lovers, but he stops just short of breaking the physical barrier. This proximity is a form of passive pursuit. By being constantly present in your physical space, he is making himself available for you to initiate. He is essentially placing himself in your path, hoping for a collision that he doesn't have to be responsible for. You might notice him leaning in deeply when you speak, or his feet always pointing directly toward you, even if his head is turned elsewhere. This leaning in is a biological imperative. We physically tilt toward the things we desire and away from the things we find threatening. The tension in this proximity is often palpable. He might linger in your space longer than necessary, or find excuses to show you something on his phone just so your shoulders can brush. However, the terrified aspect is revealed in the retreat. The moment he feels he has been too bold or that you might have noticed his closeness, he may suddenly create distance to reset the tension. He wants to feel your warmth and be part of your immediate environment. But he is paralyzed by the fear that a purposeful touch might be rebuffed, so he settles for being as close as humanly possible without actually touching. 3. His body language is consistently oriented toward you. The body often betrays what the tongue is too proud or too scared to admit. Even if he is talking to someone else across the room, his torso, knees, and feet will often remain angled toward you. This is known as fronting, a sign of total engagement and submission to the person of interest. When a man is terrified of your reaction, he might use his words to play it cool, but his physical orientation acts as a compass pointing toward his true north. He is subconsciously signaling that you are the most important person in the vicinity. Beyond just orientation, you will notice open body language. He won't cross his arms or create barriers like holding a drink directly in front of his chest when speaking to you. Instead, he exposes his vitals, a primal sign of trust and invitation. He wants to appear welcoming and accessible. You might also notice him preening, straightening his shirt, fixing his hair, or adjusting his watch the moment you enter his line of sight. These are ancient biological grooming behaviors intended to make himself appear more attractive and high status in your eyes. The most telling sign, however, is the broken gaze. He will look at you intensely when you aren't looking, but the moment your eyes meet his, he might look down or away rapidly. This is the hallmark of the man who is terrified. He wants to consume your presence, but he fears that getting caught looking will reveal the depth of his feelings. If his body is constantly shouting his presence your way while his eyes are darting away in a panic, it's a clear indication that his heart is racing and his nerves are on edge. He is physically leaning into a future with you while mentally bracing for the possibility of no. 4. He experiences visible nervousness or clumsiness in your presence. A man who is confident in every other area of his life, business, sports, or social circles, might suddenly become a bumbling version of himself around the woman he desires. If you notice him tripping over his words, losing his train of thought, or physically fumbling with objects like his keys or glass, it's rarely because he's actually clumsy. It's because his brain is experiencing a system overload. He is so preoccupied with monitoring his own behavior and trying to gauge your reaction that his motor skills and verbal fluency take a backseat. This nervousness is actually a massive compliment. It shows that your opinion carries immense weight. To him, the stakes of your interaction are incredibly high. One wrong word could ruin his chances, in his mind. You might see physical manifestations of this adrenaline spike. His hands might shake slightly, he might sweat more than usual, or he might develop a fidget like tapping his pen or adjusting his clothes. These are all ways the body attempts to dispel the nervous energy built up by being near someone who causes a significant emotional reaction. Furthermore, this terrified state often leads to him being overly cautious with his speech. He might take long pauses to ensure he doesn't say anything stupid, or he might over-explain a simple joke to make sure you didn't take it the wrong way. He is walking on eggshells because he views you as a prize he hasn't earned yet. While he might feel embarrassed by this lack of composure, it is one of the most authentic signs of attraction because it is nearly impossible to fake. He isn't trying to be smooth. He is simply trying to survive the conversation without scaring you away. 5. He creates accidental opportunities to see you. If it seems like he's just happening to pass by your desk, coincidentally showing up at your favorite coffee shop, or randomly being at the same Friday night gathering, it is almost certainly by design. A man who is terrified of making a direct move will rely heavily on fate's assistance, except he's the one pulling the strings behind the scenes. He creates these low-pressure environments because they allow for organic interactions where he doesn't have to officially ask you out on a date. In his mind, an accidental meeting is safe because it provides plausible deniability. These convenient run-ins allow him to maintain a presence in your life without the vulnerability of a formal invitation. He wants to be a constant, familiar figure in your daily routine so that the transition from guy I see around to guy I'm dating feels natural and inevitable. He might use props during these encounters, such as, "Oh, I was just nearby picking up a gift for my sister," or "I forgot I had a meeting in this building." These excuses are his safety net. They protect his ego in case you don't seem happy to see him. The giveaway is the frequency and the effortless nature of it. True coincidences are rare, but planned accidents happen every other day. Pay attention to how he reacts when you do run into him. If he seems slightly startled but then settles into an eager, prolonged conversation, he was likely waiting for that exact moment. He is trying to build a shared history of small moments. He is hoping that by consistently appearing in your world, he will eventually become an indispensable part of it, all while avoiding the terrifying act of having to say, "I want to see you, so I'm here." 6. He engages deeply with your social media presence. In the digital age, a man who is terrified to speak in person will often find his voice through a screen. However, his engagement isn't just a generic like. He is the one who watches every single one of your stories within minutes of them being posted. He likes your older photos, the ones that require a bit of scrolling, indicating he's been spending time on your profile. When he does comment, it's usually a question or a thoughtful remark designed to spark a private conversation. He is using your digital footprint as a blueprint to find common ground. This behavior is a way of staying connected to you when you aren't physically together. For someone afraid of direct rejection, social media provides a controlled environment. He can edit his words, choose the perfect emoji, and take his time responding. If you post a song, he might listen to it and tell you what he thinks. If you post a photo of a meal, he might ask for the recipe. These are low-stakes interactions that allow him to gauge your interest levels. If you respond warmly, it gives him the green light he needs to keep pursuing you in the real world. 7. He offers help with tasks he isn't asked to do. Acts of service are a classic safe way for a man to demonstrate his value and affection. If he notices your car is making a weird noise, he's the first to offer to look at it. If you mention you're moving, he's already checking his schedule to help you carry boxes. He looks for problems in your life that he can solve. This isn't just about being a nice guy. It's about positioning himself as a provider and a protector. He wants you to see him as reliable, capable, and essential to your well-being. For a man who is terrified you won't notice his feelings, doing is much easier than saying. By fixing something or helping you with a project, he is demonstrating his commitment in a way that can't be easily dismissed. It also creates a sense of indebtedness in a positive way that keeps you interacting with him. Every time he helps you, he gets more of your time and attention. He is building a foundation of trust, hoping that his consistent actions will eventually speak louder than the words he is too afraid to utter. You can spot the difference between a friend and a suitor by the level of initiative. A friend might help if you ask. A man who wants you will anticipate your needs before you even realize you have them. He might show up with your favorite snack when he knows you're working late or offer to drive you to the airport so you don't have to deal with an Uber. These acts are his way of saying, "I care about your comfort and happiness." He is trying to prove his worthiness, hoping that you'll eventually realize he's the partner you've been looking for all along. 8. His eye contact is intense but frequently broken when caught. Eye contact is the most primal form of human connection, and for a man in love, It's a battle between desire and fear. When you aren't looking at him, he is likely looking at you with an intensity that could melt iron. He is memorizing the way your eyes crinkle when you laugh and the way you tilt your head when you're thinking. However, the second you turn your gaze toward him, he might snap his eyes away, look at his feet, or suddenly find something very interesting on the other side of the room. This eye dart behavior is a classic sign of someone who is terrified you'll notice. He doesn't want to be caught staring because he's afraid his eyes will give away the secret he's trying so hard to keep. He fears that if you look deep into his eyes, you'll see the longing and the vulnerability he's trying to hide. Yet, he can't help himself. He is drawn to your face like a moth to a flame. The result is a rhythmic dance of looking and hiding, a silent conversation that happens in the split seconds between your glances. If he does manage to hold your gaze, it often feels different than a normal conversation. It feels heavy or charged with an unspoken energy. You might notice his pupils dilate, a physiological response to attraction that he cannot control. He might give a small, shy smile before looking away, a brief moment of bravery before he retreats back into his shell. This fluctuating eye contact is his way of trying to connect with you without fully committing to the vulnerability of a sustained, romantic stare. It is the visual equivalent of a whisper. 9. He defends or supports you even in minor disagreements. A man who is secretly in love with you will be your most loyal ally, often without you even realizing it. Whether it's a minor debate among friends about a movie or more serious professional disagreement, he will consistently find ways to validate your perspective. He isn't just being a yes man. He is subconsciously signaling that he is on your team. He wants you to feel supported and understood, especially in environments where you might feel challenged. He is building a us against the world dynamic in his mind. This protective instinct is a core part of romantic attraction. By defending your ideas or standing up for you, he is demonstrating his loyalty. Even if he doesn't explicitly say, "I agree with you," he might rephrase your point to make it sound more convincing to others, or he might redirect the conversation to take the heat off you. He wants to be your safe harbor. For a man who is terrified of rejection, this is a way to earn your favor and show his character without having to make a romantic advance. You might also notice that he is particularly sensitive to anyone who treats you poorly. If someone makes a joke at your expense, he might be the only one who doesn't laugh, or he might counter with a compliment directed at you. He is fiercely protective of your dignity and your happiness. He wants to be the person who always has your back. By being your most consistent supporter, he is hoping to win your heart through his unwavering presence and his commitment to your well-being. He is showing you that he is someone you can always count on. 10. He changes his tone of voice when speaking specifically to you. The way a man speaks to you can reveal more than the words themselves. If you notice that his voice becomes deeper, softer, or more melodic when he's talking to you compared to how he speaks to his friends, it's a sign of a subconscious shift in intimacy. This vocal grooming is a natural response to being around someone you are attracted to. A deeper voice is often associated with masculinity and confidence, while a softer tone suggests a desire for closeness and a certain level of vulnerability. This shift in tone is often accompanied by a change in pace. He might speak more slowly, as if he's savoring every word and trying to keep you in the conversation for as long as possible. He might also use more we and us language, even in hypothetical situations. He is trying to create a verbal intimacy that mirrors the emotional intimacy he feels. For a man who is terrified to tell you his feelings, his voice becomes the vehicle for his affection. It carries a warmth and a resonance that is reserved only for you. You might also notice that he becomes a much better listener when you speak. He isn't just waiting for his turn to talk. He is truly absorbing what you say. He might repeat your words back to you or ask deep, probing questions that show he's been paying attention. This verbal focus is his way of making you feel seen and heard. By creating a unique vocal space for the two of you, he is signaling that you are special. His voice is the first thing that betrays his secret. It's the sound of a man who is trying to be enough for the woman he admires. 11. He seeks your opinion on personal or important decisions. When a man starts asking for your advice on things that actually matter, his career, his relationships with his family, or his long-term goals, It's a sign that he views you as a partner, not just a friend. By seeking your opinion, he is giving you a seat at the table of his life. He isn't just looking for a second opinion. He is testing your compatibility and seeing how your mind works. He wants to know if your values align with his, and if you are someone he can rely on for wisdom and support. This behavior is a high form of respect. For a man who is terrified you won't notice him, this is a way to bring you into his inner circle. He is saying, I trust you with the things that are important to me. It's also a way for him to see how you would fit into his future. If he's considering a new job and asks what you think, he's silently wondering how that job would affect a potential life with you. He is crowdsourcing his future from the one person whose opinion matters most to him. Furthermore, following through on your advice is the ultimate sign of devotion. If he actually makes a change based on something you said, he is signaling that your influence is profound. He wants you to feel a sense of ownership over his successes. This advisor role he places you in is a safe way for him to build a deep, intellectual connection. He is hoping that by showing you how much he values your mind, you'll eventually realize he values your heart just as much. He is building a bridge of trust, one conversation at a time. 12. He mirrors your movements and speech patterns. Mirroring is a powerful, subconscious behavior that happens when two people are deeply in sync or when one person is trying to build rapport with another. If you lean back in your chair, he leans back. If you take a sip of your drink, he takes a sip of his. If you use a specific slang word or a particular gesture, you'll find him doing the same a few minutes later. This isopraxis is the brain's way of saying, I am like you, and I like you. It is a biological attempt to create harmony and a sense of shared identity. For a man who is terrified of being found out, mirroring is a behavior he can't even control. It's driven by the mirror neurons in his brain that are firing in response to your presence. He is so focused on you that his body begins to mimic yours as a way of getting closer to you. It creates a sense of sameness that makes interactions feel more comfortable and meant to be. If you feel like the two of you are always on the same page, it might be because he is subconsciously working hard to stay in rhythm with you. You can test this by making a subtle, conscious movement, like crossing your legs or touching your hair, and seeing if he follows suit. If he does, it's a strong sign of his intense focus on you. Mirroring also extends to speech patterns, the speed of his talk, his tone, and even his vocabulary. He wants to speak your language. He is trying to create a bubble where the two of you are perfectly aligned. It is his body's way of trying to merge with yours, even while his mind is still too scared to take the first real step. 13. He lingers during goodbyes or finds ways to extend conversations. The long goodbye is a classic hallmark of a man who doesn't want to leave your presence. When a meeting or a hangout is coming to an end, he'll find one more thing to tell you. He might walk you to your car and then stand by the door for 20 minutes talking about nothing in particular. He is fighting against the clock because he knows that once you leave, the magic of being near you ends. He is addicted to the energy you provide, and he is trying to squeeze every last drop of it out of your time together. This lingering is a sign of deep comfort and a desire for more. A man who is terrified to ask for a date will use these extended endings as a way to spend more time with you without the pressure of a planned event. He is hoping that in these extra minutes, something might happen. Maybe you'll invite him in, or maybe he'll finally find the courage to say how he feels. These moments are filled with a specific kind of tension, the kind where both people know there's something more to be said, but neither is quite brave enough to say it. Pay attention to his body language during these goodbyes. He might be facing you fully, with no sign of wanting to turn away. He might check his phone only to ignore it. He is making you his sole focus. Even the way he says bye might sound a bit more hesitant or heavy than usual. He is mourning the end of the interaction before it's even over. This inability to just walk away is the most honest evidence of his attraction. He is literally rooted to the spot by his feelings for you. 14. He highlights his best qualities or achievements around you. A man who wants you will subconsciously start auditioning for the role of your partner. He wants you to see him as high value, successful, and capable. This isn't necessarily about bragging. It's about ensuring you know his stats. He might casually mention a promotion at work, a difficult hike he just finished, or a project he's passionate about. He is presenting his highlight reel to you because he wants to be the most impressive man in your orbit. He is terrified that if he doesn't prove his worth, you'll choose someone else. This behavior is rooted in a desire for your admiration. To a man, being admired by the woman he loves is one of the greatest rewards. He wants to see that spark of wow in your eyes. He might also display his personality, showing off his sense of humor, his intelligence, or his kindness by doing something thoughtful for someone else in your presence. He is trying to build a brand in your mind that says, "I am a great catch." He is doing everything he can to make the choice to be with him as easy as possible for you. The terrified part comes in when he checks for your reaction after sharing a success. He might downplay his achievement immediately after mentioning it. It was no big deal, really, to avoid appearing arrogant, but he'll be watching closely to see if you're impressed. He is seeking your validation to quiet his own insecurities. If you cheer him on, he feels like he's one step closer to winning you over. He is essentially saying, "Look at what I can do. Look at who I am. Is it enough for you to want me back?" 15. He treats you with a distinct level of care compared to others. The special treatment rule is the ultimate litmus test for secret attraction. If you watch him interact with other women or friends, he might be funny, polite, or even flirtatious in a generic way. But with you, there is a weight to his presence. He is more careful with his words, more attentive to your needs, and more protective of your feelings. You aren't just one of the girls or one of the buddies. You are in a category of your own, and his behavior reflects that unique status every single time you're together. This care might show up in small ways. He's the one who makes sure you got home safe. He's the one who notices when you're quiet in a group and brings you back into the conversation, or he's the one who remembers your food allergies. He is essentially parenting your comfort. He wants you to feel like the most important person in the world because, to him, you are. This level of intentionality is impossible to maintain for everyone. It is a finite resource that he is choosing to spend almost entirely on you. This specialness is his way of signaling his intentions without having to voice them. He is hoping that you'll notice the contrast between how he treats the world and how he treats you. He is creating an environment where you feel cherished and protected, hoping that this feeling will become something you don't want to live without. For a man terrified you won't notice, this consistency is his greatest weapon. He is playing the long game, hoping that by becoming your most devoted friend, he will eventually become your only one.